Well, that was fun. That was actually really nice. Although, to be honest, I have to say this, I kind of like the Lily arc, how this happened better, because it's like not only you get to hang out in girls in pajamas and then you give a little birthday present to Hanako, but then you get drunk and you see Lily asleep and stuff, and then you wake up. I don't know, that other part before was a lot more saucy and fun, honestly, compared to this one where it was also like the same thing, the girls in pajamas, but it was a lot more, mild and everything. But I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. I still like the Lily arc with that same situation better. So. But yeah, I pull my door closed, ready for another day of classes. Oh shit, Kenji. Sleep well? Oh shit, did he? Oh no. I was wondering, does he know that I went into the girls' room? I don't know if he did, but let's find out. Kenji's sudden arrival makes me jump and I narrowly avoid butting heads with him. I know he has poor eyesight, but he knows who I am now. Does he still have to stand this close? Oh yeah, like a baby. Damn, why do people say that? Have you ever heard a baby sleep? They scream all night, every night. Babies don't sleep well, ever. Well, there goes my restful state. I have to remember to never use figures of speech with Kenji. Alright, I get your point. It was a figure of speech. Yeah, sure, whatever. Where were you last night? I had a favor to ask, but you weren't around. For a split second, I considered telling Kenji the truth that I was spending time with Hanako and Lily. Thankfully, that split second passes as soon as it came. I was just out checking out the local area and stuff, recon. Recon, is that how you pronounce it? Sorry. Good, man, good. I knew you were the type to plan ahead. Anyway, what was this favor you wanted? I was going to get some takeout, but I needed change. Of course he needs money, all the fucking time. Wait, what? I gave you money last week and you still haven't paid me back. And I was starting to think you were cool. Kenji fishes around and in his pocket and produces his wallet. As he counts out the 400 yen he owes me, I can clearly see at least two 10,000 yen notes. Hey, what the hell? Why are you borrowing money off me when you've got that much cash? Kenji hisses a little, realizing that he's been had. Get off my case, man. It's bad luck to break a big note for anything less than half its value. It's the tycoon's rule. Last night's dinner is going to cost me 7 years of bad luck. 7 years. Don't you think that's enough cause to help someone out? I get a shorter sentence if I just stole the stuff. My common sense screams at me to say something to him, but thankfully I restrain myself. Arguing a point like this with Kenji will just lead to further and more complicated discussions. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe you should plan these things a little better. Yeah, man, I know, but I've just got so much stuff to do. It's hard, and you're never around anymore, so I'm on my own. We're supposed to be brothers in brotherhood, remember? Yeah, I get you. Global conspiracy and such. I'll keep my ear to the ground. Kenji draws close enough for me to get a clear whiff of his garlic-tainted breath. You better, man. You're already spending less time here. That's the first thing they do. They'll try to split us up, divide and conquer. Sun Tzu said that. Roger that. Now I've got to be going. I've got classes. You coming? Nah, I'm tired. I stayed up all night just to make sure nothing was going to happen after splitting that note. As rational as ever, I see. Whatever. Night. Kenji scurries back into his room and I hear him throwing his locks as I walk down the hallway. That is why some people can't roll their tongue or why their second toe is longer than their big toe. Watawa beams a half-moon smile at us, obviously proud of his explanation of recessive genes. I knew he was talking about this. Well, can't say that because he just said it, but... Yeah, I mean, I have studied biology and stuff. I'm not bragging or anything, but the moment he said the rolling tongue and the toe thing, I knew, the recessive genes kind of thing. Kind of like hitchhiker's thumbs and all that stuff. Or when the earlobe is connected or not connected, but I don't know. I'm just pointing that out. I knew what he was talking about, but, it's first I said it when he already said it, and I'm not bragging, but, I'm sorry about that. However, no matter how impressed he is at the science that defines who we are, the classroom seems to be reduced to a stupor. Why is it that a bad explanation can make even the most interesting things seem worthless? I can see Mutao deflate as he realizes that nothing he said in the past half hour has sunk in. Aw, I feel sorry for him. Whispered conversations start to break the silence, and like an avalanche, the noise level in the class starts to rise. Defeated, Mutao identifies some questions from the textbook and sets to clearing up the blackboard. Damn. I mean, like, I'm interested in this shit. I feel sorry for when a teacher is not that successful with their explanations, because I sympathize with them. Like, I've like learned from them, and I've been influenced by them, so they're very important in my life in a way. So yeah. Almost as if expected, Hanako packs up her things and leaves as soon as people start talking and laughing among themselves. The initial shock of seeing someone play so blatantly truant has started to fade, but it doesn't stop me from wondering. Is she leaving because she doesn't want people to speak to her, or is it just the thought of people around her shattering her peace? Before I can think about the topic any further, the lunch bells ring. I wonder if she was simply taking the opportunity to leave early. The usual clamor of students exchanging books for lunch reverberates around the room, and while Misha is distracted, I grab my lunch and head out the door. Lily already sits in the tea room, setting out her lunch alone. So Hanako's not here then. Oh, Hisaya, how are you? I haven't met Hanako since this morning, I'm afraid. That's right, Hanako and Lily live next to each other. Somehow I think their morning conversations are slightly more grounded than Kenji's ramblings. That's strange. She left class early, so I figured that she'd come here. So she's still leaving class early. Yeah, I've seen her do it a few times. Lily drops her head a little, and her tone of voice is notably depressed. It's very reminiscent of someone who is used to hearing bad news. I was so sure that she'd stop doing that once you two became friends. Oh wait, stop doing what? I'm sorry, I have to... I want to look at... So she's still leaving... Yeah, I've seen her do a few times. Oh, okay, leaving class early. Oh yeah, I see. Her shy demeanor, when she's quiet, and after a while she then leaves class and stuff instead of hanging around. I see. I'm sorry, while I was reading, I was kind of struck in thought for a little bit, and then I came back, but I then had to go back and reread just to make sure. Sorry about that. It happens to me sometimes, but Anyway, yeah, two became friends. I know I already read it, so everyone has their own pace, I suppose. Well, I was wondering about just that today. Why exactly does she leave? I'm not entirely sure myself. I personally think it's because she doesn't want to be put in a situation where she has to answer someone. I have a flashback of my first meeting with her, when I thought she looked like a cornered animal. Maybe I wasn't far from the truth. But she seems fine with talking to you and with me a bit. It's a little more complex than that. I imagine that the first thing most people ask her about is her scars and what happened. Oh, okay, I see. Excuse me. She rarely talks about it with me, but I can tell that she doesn't like to remember whatever happened back then. Leaving class and running away from discussions is her preemptive strike, if you will. So then how does that explain her talking to me? You said it yourself yesterday at breakfast. You tried to ignore her scars. Once she saw that you weren't going to ask her about that, she opened herself up to you. I guess you're right, maybe. I don't know. You know her better than I, so I'll take your word for it. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sure you'll come to know her as well as I do soon enough. I welcome the prospect of her having a new friend, and the two of you have such similar interests. Well, I hardly count reading as a team sport. It is good to have company, though. That's my point. Hanako is still an average person at heart. She also wants company at times like that. I see. I think to be honest, both of you still confuse me a little. That's only natural, Isayo. We've only known each other for a little while. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us, just as we can't understand you. But that is half the fun of becoming friends, right? Yes, it is. Although I suppose there is the matter of us being opposite genders, men and women do seem to confuse each other quite often. She says this with a light giggle, finding amusement at the odd little details of life. Well, I mean, she's not wrong. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start eating. No, go ahead. I think I'll eat something too. I've got some books I want to drop back at the library before classes start, so I'd better get a move on. You'll probably find Hanako there as well. If you do see her, can you tell her to stop by my room later tonight? I'd like to talk to her. You're not coming? Unfortunately, I've got class representatives meeting later, so I'll be gone as soon as I finish my lunch. Okay then, if I don't see her in the library, then I'll tell her in class. I'm sure she'll be back after lunch. We fall silent as we start to eat, and I take a second to reflect on our conversation. I've always thought that Hanako's shyness was simply due to her being self-conscious of her scars. But that is a pretty superficial way of looking at her. Just when I thought I was able to see through the fog of Lily and Hanako, I realized that I'm more lost than when I started. Lily quickly finishes her lunch, acutely aware of her meeting. I don't blame her. Shizune is most likely going to be there, and I doubt she wants to give her the satisfaction of another argument. I must be off. Same time tomorrow? Same time, same channel. I'd better head off too. I don't want to risk being late. Lily smiles gently, picks up her cane, and walks out into the hall. I turn my back on Lily as we head in opposite directions. For some reason, I find myself hoping she doesn't get into another fight with Shizune. As much as I like Lily, Shizune and Misha have been pretty instrumental in helping me adjust, even if half of our conversations are thinly veiled recruitment attempts. Then again, I barely know either of them. Maybe they were previously leaders of some kind of secret society, but their love for each other drove them apart. Man, I need to stop reading cheap fiction. It's rotting my brain. Either that or I've got to move away from Kenji and his bad influence. It's sad that I can't tell the two apart anymore. I slide my books down to the return chute and they crash into the cart with a pleasant thud. Oh! Yuko, however, doesn't seem as impressed as I. Sayo, you scared me. Sorry, I thought you would be used to that by now, or is the literacy level here so low that nobody borrows any books? Huh? No, I think everyone here can read fine. Yeah, never mind. There are some battles that you can never win. Trying to explain jokes is one of them. My dad taught me that the hard way. Say, Yuko, have you seen Hanako about? She left class early, but she wasn't in her usual hiding place. I think I saw her sneak in before lunch. Oh, but I'm not supposed to tell anyone that. I just told you that I saw her leave. No need to stress out. Oh, of course, she's probably in the back. Thanks. Get any new books in recently? No, sorry, I'll let you know when we do though. Okay. If there's one thing I know about librarians, part-time or otherwise, is that they appreciate people who take a genuine interest in their work. I walk the now familiar path to Hanako's reading nook, picking out a few titles along the way. Sometimes I find it hard to discover a book that will interest me among the shelves that an author's name and a two-word title don't mean much in a sea of similar words. For that reason, I sometimes reread books that I read in the past. Better to bet on the favorite than a new runner. An unfamiliar title from a familiar author peeks out among the spines of its neighbors, so I remove it from the shelf. At least I'm not going over old material. As expected, Hanako sits on her beanbag buried deep in a copy of Dance Dance Dance. Never heard of that. Hi Hanako, how's it going? I don't know if it's fictional, but you know. I fight back the urge to ask why she left class early if Lily's suspicions were right, then asking her about that could have the opposite effect. Best to leave it for the time being. Sometimes the best way to get an answer from someone is to never ask the question. Hello, Hisayo. I'm fine. Something seems off, and after a couple of seconds I realize what it is. Hanako's smiling. She looks as if she's pleased to see me. It's a nice change from the usual instinctively frightened reaction. It's something I hope I can see more off as we get to know each other better. Good to hear. How's that book? I've heard it's a trip. It's good, I think. I've only just started it, so I don't really know. Fair enough. Let me know how it goes. I may borrow it once you're done. Sure. There's a good 15 minutes left in lunch. Not enough to really get into a book, but too much to stand around doing nothing. And Hanako has already returned to her reading, so I doubt I'll get much conversation from her. Oh well, I'd better make myself comfortable. I slouch into a beanbag and crack open my book. The familiar style of the author leaps out at me from the very first line. As the sentences turn into paragraphs, I start to relax a little. But no matter how I try, I can't seem to get myself into the atmosphere of the book. This is partly due to the lack of time, but the more distracting factor is Hanako. Every 10 or so seconds she peers over the top of her book, but when our eyes meet, she quickly ducks behind the covers. She's into me. I guess she did want to talk about something after, or maybe she does want to talk. I'm reading too into this, I'm sorry, but you know, this is the Hanako arc, so let's talk about something after all. What's up? You look like a prairie dog on lookout. It's nothing. I've told you before, nothing means something when you say it like that. Hanako squirms a little in her beanbag, hoping that by changing her position, she'll find the words she's looking for. I was in an accident. Accident? Just now? Are you alright? Hanako shakes her head, her hair flowing around her shoulders in wisps of amethyst on a background of pale and dark flesh. No, when I was younger. Realization crashes into me like a semi. When I was... It's alright, Hanako, you don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to. Again, she shakes her head. No, I have to tell you. I think this song playing might be the song that played when I was on the phone back in the Lily arc, but I don't know, we'll see. It's the one I said was really good, so... When I was young, I was in a fire. My house burned down and I nearly didn't make it. After that, I was alone. Hanako's eyes glisten in the dim light of the library and I reach out to grasp her hand. It's okay, Hanako, you don't have to keep going. But I have to. Why? But what brought this on? Well, last night Lily told me about your heart. And I didn't think it was fair. Fair? That I knew about you, but you didn't know about me. I squeeze Hanako's hand a little. Don't be silly, but yes, I have a heart condition. If you guys don't know when this actually happened, if you looked at the Lily arc, it shows that when like this heart condition happened, and then I actually talked to her about it, or yeah, I said I'm sorry about worrying about it, but then she kind of catched on about this whole situation. I just want to fill you guys into this if you're wondering, oh, when did that happen about Lily knowing about this? But it's in the Lily arc. If you go to my previous videos, you'll find out about this. Just thought I'd let you guys know for those of you who are confused. But yes, I have a heart condition. I lean a little closer to Hanako. What I didn't tell Lily is that I had my first attack when a girl confessed to me. I smile a little to break the tension. Really? Really, I haven't heard from her for a while though, so I guess it's all over. I know it's all over. There is no other way to interpret what happened the last time I saw her. In some ways, not having heard from her again has helped me move on from that period of my life. So now we both know a little more about each other, but you don't have to talk about things if you don't want to. In fact, I feel a little bad even thinking about that whole incident. I can almost smell the hospital's disinfectant burning the back of my senses again. I imagine Hanako is going through the same thing now. When I was in the hospital, I went to the burn ward once, and only once I was bored, so I went for a walk through all of the wards. I went through oncology and thought I could take it, but when I got to the burn ward, I turned around and went back to my bed. To think that Hanako would have spent months in a place like that, smelling nothing but corrupted skin, strong disinfectant, and sterilized air. The really bad cases were kept in isolated pods that no foreign objects could enter. That would have meant no reading. I would have gone insane if I didn't have my books in the hospital. And she said she was alone. Did her parents die? I have to ask Lily about it. I can imagine myself saying something dumb and unintentionally. Thank you, Hisayo. I haven't told many people about this. To be honest, I haven't told many people about my circumstances either. Then I won't tell anyone either. Deal? I changed my grip on Hanako's hand into a handshake as the warning bells chimed through the window. Well then, we better head back to class then, eh? Sure. Wow, that was something, I have to admit. Act 3, Castling.